Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Welcome to another What Are You Playing video. So, astute viewers will note that my background is different from what it normally is. That's because I am here in beautiful downtown Denver, Colorado for a work trip. So I am not at home this week. But I did bring video games with me because, of course, I did. Specifically, I brought my Switch and a handful of cartridges. So let's go over what I've been playing. Now, I'll probably put footage of me holding up the boxes or maybe Vanna Whiting them somehow up here. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But here's what I've been playing. Starting off with the Spooktober stuff. The first thing, the big thing that I've played, I played it and beat it while I was out here at my work trip, is The Bunker. This is a full motion video game. It's another one of these Wales Interactive published titles. So it's a full motion video game similar to Nightbook, which... Did I finish Nightbook last week or was it the week before? I don't know. Work trip has kind of eaten away at my brain, and I don't remember. I don't remember what I was doing last week. But anyway, so The Bunker. What is The Bunker? First of all, I want to say that The Bunker is infinitely better than Nightbook. Nightbook was okay, but it wasn't particularly scary. It was pretty hokey. There was some decent enough acting in it, but a lot of the acting was kind of marginal at best. The dad was kind of really hamming it up. And the lady's boss was, I don't know, she was a little stiff. But The Bunker is a much better title. It is actually quite disturbing and creepy. Not necessarily scary, but it's definitely something that is a lot more entertaining and a lot more, it has a lot more horror chops than Nightbook had. But the basic premise of the game is that there's a bunker somewhere in the UK. And there's a contingency of people and scientists and military professionals who are down in the bunker when some sort of major nuclear attack happens. Something that is catastrophic and like world-ending. And while they are down in this bunker, this fallout shelter, one of the women, she was pregnant and she gives birth to a child. And the story takes place some, 30 years or so after that. The child is now grown up and their mother is on their deathbed. And the bunker is completely empty except for the woman and her child, her adult child. And like I said, she's on her deathbed and she passes away. And after she passes away, you have to continue your daily routines of going through, of taking your medicine and checking the equipment to make sure that everything's running. And one day, while you're going through your routine, there is a catastrophic failure in one of the pieces of equipment. I think it's the air filter that's keeping you alive inside the bunker. And so you wander around the bunker looking for clues, trying to figure out how to repair and eventually escape the bunker, all the while having flashbacks to what actually happened, to explaining why the bunker is now empty except for you and your now deceased mother. Anyway, it's an excellent game. It's probably one of the better full motion video games that Wales Interactive have published. They've published a lot, and there's a few that are really exceptional, and I would honestly put the bunker up there with the ones that are really exceptional. It's very fun. I do recommend it highly. And again, it's a full motion video by Wales Interactive. And it's not a terribly long game. You'll probably finish it in an hour, but it does encourage multiple playthroughs because there's multiple endings and multiple paths through the game that you can take. And the thing is about it is that even though it is a full motion video game, it actually has an awful lot of freedom and control that is given to the character. Like you are able to move around this bunker and explore. I mean, as long as you're the character that you're playing as isn't too afraid. There's a few situations where he doesn't want to go someplace because he has memories that are very negative of that place. But you do have a lot of freedom, which is really rare for a full motion video game. Normally full motion video games are, effectively movies with minor little decision branches. But this one, you have full autonomy. You can actually totally explore this bunker, which is really fun. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I recommend it very highly. If anybody's looking for a good full motion video game, you could do a hell of a lot worse than this one. This is a great title. All right, so what's the next game? Well, the next game is the one that I've already talked about before. I'm still playing it, is Signalis. Again, I'm still playing this, of course, on the Switch, because I brought my Switch. I haven't put too much more time into Signalis on my work trip. I will admit that every time I sat down to play, at least in the first half of the trip, I was focused on the bunker. I was really enthralled and enjoying it. So I've not put a ton of time into Signalis. I'm fully anticipating putting more time into it when I get back home. I will probably beat it this next week. But I am still playing it, and it's still a good game. But I don't have anything else to say. The next Spooktober game that I'm playing is a visual novel, and it's called Deathmark. This is one of these ArcSys published visual novel games that they do so many of. In it, you are actually, I don't believe. Yeah, you're somebody who's suffering from amnesia, and you don't exactly remember who you are, but you have a strange mark has appeared on your skin, and you're drawn to this mansion. And at the mansion, you discover an author who had been researching this mark that caused people to lose their memories and eventually, die, be killed. This author was studying it. This researcher of occult things was studying it, and you're drawn to her mansion, and you discover her dead corpse with flowers blooming from it. And while you are there, you are directed by a doll that is able to speak, like a full-sized human doll that is able to speak. And over the course of the game, you're joined by other people who have this same mark, it's this death mark, this thing that is going to get you killed. And you have to solve the mystery and try to figure out what had happened. The thing is, like I said, this is a visual novel. And I have to be honest, I don't typically visual novels aren't usually my bag. I have played them on occasion, and some of them I've really liked, but they're not usually things that I get into. I tend to play visual novels when I'm traveling for work or other things like this, because you're kind of captive in a room, a hotel room, after your work stuff is over, and it just kind of makes sense to read as opposed to try to play something more intense, because I usually have very exhausting days with meetings and work. And so you come back to your room after it's all over and done, and you just kind of want to turn your brain off a bit. And that's really where I enjoy visual novels. But yeah, so I've been playing Deathmark. I haven't finished it yet. I will admit that a little ways into the game, I kind of lost a lot of interest in it. I don't know, the pacing is off. And it's not a particularly suspenseful or scary game, despite the fact that it's ostensibly a horror visual novel. I don't know. I will finish it, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm not loving it. It's not going to be one of the visual novels that I will speak of with reverence. It's kind of meh, at least in my opinion. All right. So the last Spooktober game that I am playing is another visual novel. I know, somebody who doesn't like visual novels. Why did I bring two? Well, like I said, at the end of the day, after your meetings are over and you're back in your room and you're exhausted, you don't really want to play something intense. You just kind of want to turn your mind off and read something. It's a great time to play visual novels. Anyway, the other visual novel that I'm playing is something called Spirit Hunter NG. Now, this one I literally just started last night, so I don't know too much about it. It is my understanding that it is also in the Deathmark series. So the game that I previously mentioned is the game that came out before this, which means I probably should wait and play this more when I finish Deathmark. But I did just start it last night, so maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just press through. Maybe it doesn't have a lot to do with the first game. I don't know. Maybe I'll look it up before I go further. But the basic idea of the game is that you're a person who is investigating various locations, trying to purify any sort of haunting spirits or demonic infestations that are happening in the areas that you investigate. And, very similar to Deathmark, you do have the ability to go and pick specific locations to perform your investigations. But unlike Deathmark, you're not somebody who's just got a mark on their skin, who is, got 24 hours to live. But no, you play as a teenage boy who is, I believe it's during the summer, high school has kind of gotten out, and now he's killing time. And he stays in this little kind of shitty rundown apartment, and has his aunt who kind of takes care of him and kind of raised him when his mother died. And he has his aunt's daughter is his adopted sister, and he hangs out with her quite a bit. And he gets kind of caught up with some Yakuza machinations because he's very tough and is able to fight in this underground arena. And then, of course, he gets wrapped up in the supernatural and has to go and investigate things. As I said, I'm not terribly far into the game yet, so I don't have a real strong opinion on it. Maybe I'll speak more on it next week. I don't know. Either that, or maybe I won't talk about it at all, which will indicate that I didn't really enjoy it. But yeah, Spirit Hunter NG is another one of the games I'm playing right now. All right, so as far as the non-Spooktober things, I'm still playing Vampire Survivors, again, also on my Switch. I don't need to sell anybody on Vampire Survivors anymore. I've talked about it quite a bit. Lots of other people talk about it. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun, and I'm thoroughly enjoying replaying and re-unlocking everything now that I'm playing it again on my Switch. But I don't know. I don't really think I need to speak more on it than I already have. It's a great game. So I'll just say Vampire Survivors. Great game. Get it. The last game that I'm playing is Sol Cresta. And this is also, again, a non-Spooktober game. And so it was something that came in the mail a couple weeks ago, and it was with my, pendulous mail sack videos. I was unboxing it. But Sol Cresta is a vertical shooter. It's a bullet hell shmup, and it is in the Cresta line of games. Moon Cresta was a game that came out in the 80s that was kind of like ostensibly competing with your Space Invaders or your Galaxians or your Galagas. And it had kind of this interesting mechanic where your ship was split into 3 segments, and you could separate them and attack with different segments. As you take damage, the segments of the ship break away and you lose them. By the time you run out of your lives, all you are is just a little bit of the ship left. Anyway, Sol Cresta is the latest in the line of the Cresta games. I'm not entirely certain if it's created by the original creators or not. I haven't bothered to look it up. But I have to be honest, it doesn't really scream Cresta legacy to me. Like, it doesn't really have a lot of the classic gameplay mechanics that I would have expected, like the ship coming apart and acting as your lives. Like, that was a really interesting mechanic that this really doesn't have. I mean, in all honesty, Sol Cresta is literally just a modern shmup with all the same trappings. You've got all your different types of weapons, all your different types of upgrades, and just torrents of enemies sending oceans of bullets at you. And I'm not saying this to disparage the game. I'm not saying it to say that it's a bad game, because honestly, I'm really enjoying it. It's a great shmup. I am saying that the link to the Moon Cresta franchise is tenuous at best. It doesn't feel like a Cresta game to me. It just feels like a shmup, which, like I said, that's not necessarily terrible, because I do love a good bullet hell, but I don't know. Calling it Sol Cresta is a little bit strange, in my opinion. But yeah, Sol Cresta. That's the last non-Spooktober game that I'm playing. So I brought with me my Switch, and I brought my Nixie Wizard controller. These are the things that you can take them off and you can put them on a central thing and use them as a controller. But then, of course, you can also put them on the Switch as Joy-Cons. And this has, frankly become like my favorite way to play Switch games is these. They're just a lot of fun. But the thing is that's funny is that when you take off your existing Joy-Cons, it's like, where are you going to put them? Well, I discovered that I can just put them on the central bar that the Nixie Wizard does, the Nixie Wizard has. And it turns them into this real weird looking skinny controller. Like, you could play your Steam game, you could play your Switch games with this silly little skinny controller. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Maybe you don't find it funny. You don't find it funny. Just go away. I think this was hilarious. Skinny. Anyway, I got nothing else. Colorado's a cool place, but I'm ready to be home. I'm very ready to be home. Anyway, see ya.
Boring old beans. Again. So that makes 27 years, 3 months and 14 days of food left.